Well, people always ask me if they're under investigation and I request a lawyer, am I going to look guilty? And my typical response, I'd much rather look guilty and be hanging out at the beach than be found guilty and be hanging out in prison. So if it's a choice and it's binary between looking guilty and being found guilty, hey, looking guilty is great. All right. Don't worry about that. And I say that with a little bit tongue in cheek humor, but the reality is people end up hurting themselves dramatically when they make statements because they say too much, their words get twisted around, or they give the government information they wouldn't have had otherwise. It's just a quick example of this. Let's say a sexual assault case where someone accuses you of a penetrative sexual assault, but there's no evidence that penetration ever occurred. Maybe the accuser states it occurred. And then you come in and make a statement saying, yeah, we had sex, but it was totally consensual. And now you've just proved that penetration occurred, which is what they couldn't have proved before. And maybe there wasn't any DNA, and maybe there wasn't any forensic evidence, and perhaps the government wouldn't have been able to even prove that sex occurred. You just gave them one of the biggest elements of the offense. Now it just comes down to consent. And then next thing you know, you say, well, we had something to drink. I had 4 Jack and Cokes, and she had 5 soju kettles and 6 shots of whiskey afterwards. Now, guess what? Now they're going to use that to say she was substantially incapacitated and was too drunk to consent. And we've gone from a case where they couldn't even prove that sex occurred to now you've convicted yourself without even, thinking you've convicted yourself, potentially. So stop talking to investigators. Don't talk to them, period. Now, there may be a time and a place where we want to put your side of the story out there. But if we're going to do that, you need to have that curated well by a defense counsel. What I mean by that is you need to think through all of the aspects of the case. What evidence does the government have? What evidence do we have? Maybe we want to get ahead of the case and put a statement out there. It's rare that we do, but we've done that in cases before, and we've had charges deferred by OSTC because of that, or cases have never gone to trial because of that. But those are very unique scenarios, and that's not something you can do yourself. That is something that must be game planned with a very good defense counsel and is risky to do. So that is the high risk, high reward scenario. And that is the minority of cases. And if you're brought into a law enforcement investigation, they're going to speak to you before they advise you of your rights to do what's called rapport building. Don't engage in this. If you're a gamer, guess what? The CID agent's now a gamer too. Guess what? If you're into cars, guess what? The CID agent has been racing cars his whole life and building them. He's straight out of Fast and the Furious, right? Whatever you like to do, guess what? The CID agent will be the same. They're going to try to build rapport with you and get you to make statements before they advise you of your rights. Don't fall for it. If you're brought down to law enforcement, bring your CAT card with you. Immediately tell them, I want a lawyer, and then stop. Even the biographical information. Why do they need to know if you're a PFC? They've got your CAT card. Why do they need to know what color your hair is? Because they can see that you're bald. Why do they need to know any of this? And what they'll use that for is they'll start getting information about your social media. They'll say, oh, we just need to ask you a few routine questions. Hair color, eye color, weight, height, social media accounts. They'll slip those in. Now they have your social media accounts. All right. Stop talking. Don't engage in the rapport building process. Be professional, be courteous, maintain your bearing, and request an attorney.